Hello, my name's Dan Hancock. I'm the Mental Health PT, and welcome to whatever this is, where I'm going to be sharing my story about how I went from ADHD school dropout to unemployed squatter to criminal addict to becoming the mental health PT, owner of this mental health gym and creator of the world's first and only mental health certification for fitness professionals. Yes, this is the story of the man behind the face that is plastered on your gym television screens up and down the full country. And this is my fourth or fifth attempt at a podcast over the years, but we're back by popular demand because so many of you have messaged me saying that my 60-second clips on social media aren't enough and you would like longer content created by me so that I can support you in achieving a healthy and happy mind, body, and life. I have flung this together very, very, very quickly. This mic isn't picking up the sound great because we're in a big, massive room. When setting up the camera, both batteries were dead, so the camera's probably going to conk out. I've got a timer going on here because the camera cuts out at 30 minutes anyway. I've daisy chained 2 extension cables so the gym may go on fire. Don't tell my landlord. And this podcast doesn't even have a name. This is completely unscripted. I've got no notes. This laptop isn't even on. It's a prop, right? So this plant's not even real, okay? This is me completely raw, unfiltered, and winging it. Why? Because I've put this off for years. In this day and age, we feel like everything has to be pristine, polished, this perfect finished article, and that prevents us from going off and just doing the bloody thing. And that is what I believe, and I didn't take my own advice. And I started to feel like I was a little bit of a hypocrite. So I have just rocked up, I've showed up, no preparation, no planning, and we're gonna see what happens. I want you to subscribe to this channel if you are struggling with the demands of life. If you potentially feel in life that you aren't accepted, if you feel isolated, if you feel that you're maybe a little bit different. If you've heard me talk about how amazing exercise is, what a gift it is, and you want to be able to build healthy habits into your life. If potentially you already take part in exercise and you want to be able to share the gift of exercise with other people. If you're struggling with your mental health, your physical health, your social health, if you're lacking in a little bit of direction, if you're lacking meaning and purpose and passion in your life, if that spark has been lost, if you don't feel like you anymore, if your identity feels challenged, whatever the reason, if you do not feel as healthy and happy as you could right now, I want you to be following this channel because that is my goal in life, to be able to help you uncover the warrior within and make you as healthy and happy as possible. All of us deserve the right to be healthy and happy and confident and have high self-worth. But unfortunately, we live in a society where we're openly criticised, we're openly pressured, and we are confused with what it is that we need to do in order to be truly happy. The fitness industry and the health and wellness space has become very commercialised and medicalised, and it's never been more complex or difficult to do something that is our God-given right that we've done for millions of years, which is move our bodies and free our minds. So this channel is designed for me to be able to educate, inspire, teach, and motivate you towards a healthier and happier life. And today we're going to be talking about me. Everyone slags me, in particular Ben, who's my best mate and business operations manager at MHEC, saying I like centre retention. I actually don't. I actually find talking about myself a little bit embarrassing, but I know that my story has supported so many of you, and so many of you tell me that it's inspiring, so I'm going to do my best to be able to get my story across to you in the next 20 minutes before that camera conks out with zero script whatsoever. So I guess we better go right back to the beginning. I was born here in Stirling in Scotland in 1991, and from a very young age, I always knew that I was a bit different. I didn't learn in the same way as other kids. I couldn't follow instructions in the same way as other kids. I couldn't communicate in the same way as other kids my age, which caused a lot of problems in primary school. Unbeknownst to me at the time, I had ADHD, and with a lot of neurodivergent kids, when you feel like you are unsupported, it just makes you more confused about yourself and the world around you, and does cause you to lash out. It isn't behavioural issues, it's a cry for help. And when you are struggling to understand things, and people are pressuring you and trying to push you into a box that you don't quite fit in, of course, that's going to cause disruptive behaviour that is going to cause young kids to not feel empowered and not feel as if they fit in. And it was as simple as that. It's a classic story. It's one that you may be familiar with yourself. I believe I was the only kid in my primary school to get suspended ever in history at the age of 8. And I really struggled with rejection sensitivity. I remember crying when my primary school girlfriend broke up with me for about 3 days. And I remember spending almost every single day at primary school trying to get sent home, not realising at the time that I was massively overstimulated and, again, wasn't feeling like I was supported. There was only a couple things that I felt that I was good at, and these typically seemed to be activities where I could express myself. I loved writing and I loved art. And probably the reason why I did is both of these forms of education aren't typical textbook subjects. They're ways in which you can express yourself and you can be free and you can allow your mind to roam and explore without the parameters that typical school subjects ask for. One of the other times, or the other ways where I felt free, was when I was exercising and when I was playing sport. I'm very lucky that I grew up in a healthy household where watching my dad exercise was a way for me to be able to take up exercise without guilt or pressure. Or, very luckily, I wasn't in a household where there wasn't a supportive network or environment where exercise isn't even a consideration. So I was very fortunate with that regard, and from a very young age I fell in love with love for football because of the semi-meditative state that it put me in. It made me feel free. It allowed me to learn skills that then I could apply to other areas of my life that were so important as a growing kid who's trying to find their way in the world. And that was really my safe space. Unfortunately, at the age of 15, I went out drinking with some of my mates and I was the victim of a very serious assault. I was outside a pub with my mates and one of them got into a fight. I tried to defend him and a group of adults about twice my age at the time came over and beat the living daylights out of me. And unfortunately, I got 2 fractured eye sockets, I broke my ribs, and I only went back to play football once. I was playing football at a good standard, semi-professional, and I only went back once, and I thought, nah, I'm not doing this anymore, and I stopped. What happened thereafter was me gradually but rapidly going off the rails. I stopped playing football, so I stopped having my outlet. I stopped going to school. I started drinking a lot, sometimes even at school. And it makes me really sad now, because not to play the victim, but I feel really, really sorry for that young kid who used alcohol as a coping mechanism to be able to feel comfortable in social situations and not overstimulated, used alcohol in order to gain some confidence in the way that I spoke, the way that I communicated, the way that I socialized with people. I used alcohol as a way to quote unquote feel normal. And I feel really sorry for that kid. And I feel sorry for lots of neurodivergent kids growing up in the world right now who tomorrow are probably going to realize that alcohol is a fantastic short-term way to medicate themselves. Long-term, disastrous. And that's what happened. Throughout high school, again, fights, suspended, getting into trouble with the police. And I kind of became the version of myself that my teachers presumed I was through my behaviour. But that wasn't really me at all. It was a way for me to fit in, for me to get attention, for me to feel accepted in a body and mind where I didn't feel accepted at all. In my final year of school, I had a 13% attendance rate. God knows how, but I somehow managed to get into university. I should have went to Stirling University, but I was 17. I wanted to go off and party, so I moved to Glasgow. And what resulted was me going even further off the rails. I didn't show up to any of my subjects, the ones that I did, the lessons, I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't understand. I couldn't pay attention. And when I was being pressured to fit into this academic lifestyle and I wasn't being able to be adherent with that, you know, of course you're going to feel like you're stupid. Of course you're going to feel dumb. Of course you're going to feel like you can't fit in with other people. And that's exactly what happened. So the reckless behaviour only continued. Drugs, alcohol, lots of different ways to self-harm and bring about some sort of short-term highs in order to self-soothe and make me feel normal for a short period of time until they subsided and I had to do it all over again. I got kicked out of Glasgow University twice. I then moved to Stirling University where I dropped out twice. I think I hold the world record for dropping out of university in total 4 times. And I ended up in a relationship that didn't serve me. It often happens when you are young and confused. You end up searching for someone else to try and make you feel whole, and it ends up just causing another hole. And that was my life for quite a few years. I lost touch with almost all of my friends. I dropped out of university. I didn't have a job. I was drinking all the time, and I was still getting into trouble with the police. And I had absolutely zero hope of a secure and hopeful future. I had zero status. I had zero identity. I had zero meaning. I had zero purpose. I had zero health. I spent most of my days in bed. And I felt absolutely worthless. And it did get to a point in my life where I was so deeply confused and hurting, and the sense of worthlessness and lack of optimism had consumed me that much that there was a stage of my life where I thought, what is the point in any of this? But one day, and I can't really quite remember exactly how it happened, I saw an advertisement to train to become a gym instructor and personal trainer, and I thought the one thing that made me feel free and hopeful in life when I was younger was exercise. So imagine if I could exercise and build that back up and potentially support other people. So I started going to the gym and I fell in love with it. And over the course of the coming months and years, I started to rebuild my identity through fitness. I started to develop some of these skills, like I mentioned, that I learned when I played football when I was younger. I started to build my confidence because I was able to walk into the gym and do things that I hadn't done before. I was able to build resilience by taking part in these deep, dark, difficult workouts where all you want to do is quit and your character has been questioned with every single rep. And I was able to push through a circumstance that directly resembles a bad day in life. So if I could push through those workouts, I could certainly deal with life's adversities too. I was able to learn how to be adaptable and have greater aspirations through learning how to exercise and develop those ambitions. I improved my self-worth by continuously challenging myself and showing up and not breaking promises to myself. And all of the brain chemicals and all these other wonderful, beautiful things that happen when you exercise, which I'm going to spend most of my time over the course of the coming podcast teaching you, were an absolute blessing in my brain and allowed me to start rewiring my brain and create new positive pathways, which created emotional regulation. It allowed me to feel in a different way. It created new thinking pathways, allowed me to think in a different way, which in turn allowed me to behave in a different way. And I started to rewrite my story. And if I was the main character of my movie, I had created the biggest plot twist and underdog story imaginable. Exercise had saved my life, and I could not wait to share this gift with other people. So I trained as a gym instructor and a personal trainer, and I got a job in a gym, and I was absolutely hopeless for the first few years that I did it. I didn't have a clue what I was talking about, or I was talking about all of the wrong stuff, things that you think are important as a PT but actually have nothing to do with behavioural change or getting people a result. And it took me a good few years to find my feet. And my confidence was lacking that much that at times I still really didn't take myself seriously at all. I was kind of a little bit of a parody. I would make a joke about stuff. I would, when it came to social media posts, I would kind of downplay what I was able to do and kind of was really setting my own bar so low that if I did fail, then I would have the excuse that I didn't even try fully in the first place. But over the years, I started to grow in confidence and I started to really help people. And I was like, this is, really, really cool. But I'll never forget the day where a client came into the gym and I'd helped her lose 10 stone. And this was the pinnacle, right? This was unbelievable. I was gonna be the fanfare. I was gonna get the confetti out. Oh my God, how amazing. I've helped a client lose 10 stone. What an amazing achievement. She walked through the gym doors that day and she has never been more miserable. She was the unhappiest she's ever been because she was objectifying her body more than ever. Yes, she changed her shape and size, but she hadn't changed her opinion of herself. And yes, she was healthier, and that's amazing. But she hadn't fixed the problem, and that problem was that she did not like herself. And something clicked in my brain that day. I was like, something not right here. There's something that is missing within the fitness industry. I mean, my PT qualifications didn't teach me anything about human behavioral psychology or about interpersonal skills or personal relationships. It taught me none of that stuff. Yet that was the stuff that I was dealing with day in, day out. And I remember sitting down with that client one day and we just got into it and she was telling me all these things about her life and her background and her experiences and traumas. And she kept on using the term mental health. And I sat there and I thought, my PT qualification didn't even use the term mental health. So from that day forward, I started to change things up. I started to ask more questions. I started to ask better questions. I started to ask deeper questions. And I started to identify the real reasons why people were coming to me. And yes, people were coming to me to improve their physical health and to shed some pounds and to change their body image. But the real reason why people were coming to me was to be confident, improve their self-worth, and be happy, independent of their size and shape. So I started to do all the research between the links between mental health and exercise. I started to develop mental health frameworks, and I stopped doing before and after pictures. And instead, I started focusing on mental health metrics with my clients instead. How do they feel coming into sessions? How do they feel afterwards? How do they feel on a day-to-day basis? How can we use exercise to improve that? How can we not just improve energy and sleep, but how can we improve these previously abstract, immeasurable metrics, such as confidence, such as happiness, such as self-worth, such as resilience, these skills? Then these are the things that are actually really important in life. And I started to piece everything together, and I started to use that approach with my clients, and I started to make it into different frameworks and methodologies that could be then replicable and scalable across different clients. And it worked. Of course it did. We were developing a mind-first approach. We were discovering the true motivations behind clients, the real reasons why they wanted to move, the real reasons why they wanted to be healthy, the real goals that they wanted to achieve. I started to realize that actually when you focus on the mind first, the body comes later. If you focus on the mind and focus on exercising to feel good rather than just look good, you're going to look forward to going to the gym. Therefore, you're going to stick to it, you're going to build it as a habit, and you're going to get those results. And it was allowing me to open up an avenue for people who were struggling with their mental health, who previously felt that they did not fit in at gyms or could not be accepted in gyms or did not belong there, to come and exercise with me. And it absolutely exploded. My work was going that well that I opened up my first gym. It was round the corner, and it was the gym for people who do not like busy gyms. It was open for about 2 weeks before lockdown hit. And when lockdown hit, I was forced to create a fitness program that focused on the mind from home. And it went absolutely viral. I started to get PTs from all over the country messaging me, being like, this is incredible, like, how can we do what you do? My client can't even get out of bed at the moment, and you're here changing people's lives. I've got videos online saying that you saved people's lives. How can we do this? But a mental health certification for personal trainers didn't exist. So I spent the year of lockdown building it. And I pieced together all of my about 5 years of research and frameworks at the time. I created the learning outcomes for the award in mental health and exercise coaching in a half-hour flurry flow state, which have remained unchanged to this day. And again, things just absolutely exploded. We started to train up mental health and exercise coaches from all over the country. Today we have over 500, not just in the UK, but in the States, Australia, New Zealand, the Middle East. And my job now as the mental health PT is the following. We've still got this gym here in Stirling, which is a gym for people who do not like busy gyms. We help people here use exercise to feel good and transform their mind, body, and life. I have a fitness program called the Mind and Body Solution, which is about the 5th or 6th iteration of that fitness program that I told you that blew up during lockdown. And we run that all over the UK. So wherever you are in the UK, if you want to be able to build healthy habits, fall in love with exercise, finally get taught all of the information that you need on nutrition, sleep, and have a mental health, mind-first approach to fitness, that's the place to start. We also train up gym instructors and personal trainers in our MHEC Academy, where we also house our award in mental health and exercise coaching, which is the world's first and only mental health certification for fitness professionals. Besides that, I'm delivering events, I'm delivering talks, I'm doing 5 or 6 attempts at doing a podcast and sticking to it finally. And our goal isn't just about mental health. Our goal is to make exercise more accessible. It's our goal to make exercise more inclusive. It's my goal to support individuals like you who are struggling with the demands in life, who know that exercise is going to be able to help, but the way that exercise is currently provided and delivered isn't suitable for you. You want to be able to feel seen and heard and supported and not pressured and not objectified and not come into a PT session and get weighed and be made to take a photo standing in your pants. You want to be able to be really helped, not just across physical health, but emotional health, social, spiritual, intellectual health. You want to be able to feel included. You want to have a sense of belonging. You want to be able to discover the true you, not the new you, not a new version of you, the real you, the you that has always been there, the you that got suppressed when life got difficult. That is my job. And I'm in such a fortunate position. Like I said, it's not just me doing this now, and I have 500 mental health and exercise coaches all across the country. And my goal is to be able to have every single fitness professional in this country trained up to be a mental health and exercise coach, so we can help people like you, so that we can take the strain off the NHS, so that we can have more people feel like exercise is an option for them to be able to reduce their stress, to not just manage anxiety and depression, but to prevent anxiety and depression. And the way that the world is going, things are just going to get more and more difficult. And I feel like it is my gift and it is my duty and it's my role in this universe to be able to make this place healthier and happier, and for us to be able to burst through the noise and the misinformation and the myths and the nonsense and debunk all of them and actually teach you how simple it can be to move your bodies and free your minds. Exercise and movement is one of the most natural things that we can do. We've done it for millions of years on this planet. And now it's been made into this complicated, obscure thing so that people can get money off you and say, my program works best. No, everyone can exercise. Everyone has the right to exercise. Everyone has the right to deserve to be happy. And over the course of the coming weeks, I'm going to use this platform to teach you exactly how to do that.